Okay, we're going to go over the Castle Lab and the color coding. And in the color coding, it goes back to the idea of high. You did some or looked at a balloon inside of a water bottle, and you had a high pressure side and a low pressure side. And so in this idea of trying to understand electricity and how current or how charges flow, which is current, red is going to represent high pressure, and the battery terminals on the positive side maintain the highest pressure. Blue is the lowest pressure, and that would be the negative side of the battery, and everything else is in between. So red would be highest above normal, orange would be above normal, yellow would be normal if there wasn't any battery or charge capacitor in the system. Then you got green that's below normal, then blue's lowest but below normal. So how I would do this is I would start out with the positive side of the battery, and any wire that touches any other wire that connects to the positive part of the battery is going to be colored red until I get to a light bulb. And these black resistors here are light bulbs. After that, I can't draw red on the other side because this is going to take up some of the electrical pressure. The next one, I'm going to go to blue, and anything that touches the negative part of the battery is going to be colored blue, and any wire that touches it until I get to a light or something that takes up the electrical pressure. All right, so then between these, I would choose yellow because that's going to be the color between those two is going to be yellow. So those would be fairly bright bulbs because I'm going from red to yellow and blue to yellow. And I would probably put, I don't know, like 3 starburst on those, or 6, red to yellow. And the current's already shown here, but I would put 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see how this compares over here. Well, I'm going to start out, I'm going to do red on the positive, and any wire that touches it that's not on the other side of a bulb. Well, at point A, I can go here, which is going to be red, or I can go this direction, which is also going to be red until I get to the light bulb, then I stop. I'm going to go to blue, and everything that touches the negative part of the battery and any wire that touches it that doesn't go through a light bulb, I'm going to color blue. Blue to that light bulb, or I can go this direction to this light bulb. Of course, this is called parallel. This is called series over here on the left. Now, this over here on the left is red to yellow. Red to yellow is highest above normal to normal. But over here on the right in the parallel, it's red to blue. That is highest above normal to lowest below normal, which means these are really going to be bright, is what that means. So I would put at least 8 on these. And then I would put 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 arrow tails because that's the highest. Now, I'm getting ready to do these light bulbs down here, but something I don't have, let's say that you just had a battery, not a battery, but let's say you charged up a capacitor. And the capacitor was fully charged, so it had pluses here and minuses down here. And then it went through 2 bulbs. A bulb there, a bulb there. Now you know when you discharge a capacitor, the light bulbs come on briefly and then go off. So at the very first of charging, I'm going to have red here. And then I'm going to, because this capacitor acts like a battery, so that's the reason I'm treating it like a battery, because right now it is charged and it's above pressure and below pressure. Above pressure on the positive, below pressure on the negative, and in between, of course, I have the yellow, the normal pressure. So I got red to yellow, and I have blue to yellow. All right. Well, what if after just a few minutes, not minutes, seconds, a few seconds, this thing has discharged partially, so now I don't have as many pluses and minuses packed in. I'm still going through these light bulbs. Well, the pressure can't be as great. So Red to yellow is a pretty big difference in pressure. It's not as big as red to blue, but it's a big pressure difference. So what do I do? Well, what happens here is, I gotta go get orange here, is this one here becomes orange because it's used up some of its charge. So the pressure is not as high. And this one down below becomes green because the pressure isn't as big because it's used up some of its electrical pressure. In between is still yellow. So if I look at this in terms of starburst, of course you already know from experience in the lab that these right here would have maybe 6 starburst because of how bright they are when they first come on. Maybe 3 arrow tails here going from positive to negative. Remember, you can't go through a capacitor because it's got insulation in between. And then here I'd have just 4 starbursts because they've gotten a lot dimmer. And the arrow tails maybe just 2. Like that. Moving in that direction. Okay. So let's look at down here. Let's ask the question, which bulb would light, which ones would be brightest? So again, we always start with the positive part of the battery, which that's the longer line here. So anything that touches that doesn't go through a light bulb is going to be red. So I'm going to go to A, but I could also go to C. Those are all red. Then I'm going to get blue. This is what you should always do. Do the negative and positives first, then we'll go to other things. The blue touches the negative part of the battery, the small minus there, and I'm going to, anything that touches that wire. Now I can't go on the other side of D, but look here. This wire short circuits everything, and I can go on the other side of D through it. So, and then I got one more place, and it's going to be yellow right here. Now, which ones are going to be brightest? Well, the brightest one is going to be C. C is going to be brightest. Why? Because it's got the highest pressure difference. It's got red and blue. So maybe I'd put 6 starburst on it. 3, 4, 5, 6. These would be second brightest. Maybe I'd put 4 on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, because red to yellow and blue to yellow are somewhat bright. And then this one would not light at all, because it doesn't have a pressure difference. Anytime you have the same color on both sides of the light bulb, it will not light. And so really very quickly, using this color coding, I decided which ones lit, which ones didn't, which ones were brightest, which ones were not as bright. Now one more thing that's kind of tricky. If you have, and let's just do a battery here, I'll make a really small circuit. Positive and negative part of the battery, I'm going to come to a light bulb here, a light bulb here, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to have a light bulb here. This is 3 light bulbs. This is a little bit trickier. Again, we always start out with red and blue. So red touches the high pressure of the battery, which is the positive end. The blue touches, let me get up here to the blue. Oh, come on now. The blue touches the negative part of the battery. Now what I do, because I got a light bulb here in the middle, normally I just put yellow all the way around, but I can't do that because of this other light bulb. It's actually in between the yellow and orange, yellow and green. So I am going to put yellow on both sides of this, all right? But also what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and get orange again. Orange. And there's going to be orange on this side because it's in between. Because of this third bulb, it's in between orange and yellow. Then I'm going to go up here and get green. And I'm going to have green and yellow down here because it's between yellow and green. And so these bulbs would all have about the same brightness. They wouldn't be as bright as these two here because you got, and see, you can agree with that because red to yellow is going to be a higher pressure difference than red to orange, yellow. or blue to green yellow. So that's kind of an in between. And I hope that was helpful.